You join us for round number 8 of what has proven to be a spicy season, and with one of the main championship contenders now alongside me in the commentary booth, it opens the door for a new man to sit on the throne. But who knows? We travel to Belgium and to the historic and iconic Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. With the track undulating up and down with twists, turns and the long Kemmel Straight, we certainly have a race on our hands. But don't forget, the changeable conditions are always ready to catch you by surprise. With that out of the way, I am your commentator, Zach Sweeney, but this time joined by Kiernan. So Kiernan, welcome in. And what's your take on the race ahead? Because it already looks very spicy. Going into Q1, we've got a bit of rain. Yeah, for sure. It's going to be one to. It's going to take a while for the drivers to acclimatise themselves to the circuit. Of course, you know, you probably know yourself. Q1 very much more of a testing session than anything. All good, all good. We'll join back with Kiernan in just a second. But while he comes back, we'll be on board, waiting for anyone that's leaving the pit lane and going for themselves onto the circuit. Again, as I was saying, as I was asking Kiernan, the fact we have to Q1 in these wet conditions. We had it in Hungary last time out. You have to acclimatise yourself to the circuit very quickly. We've got Corey though, the first man to head out. 15 drivers on the grid, so every single one of them will be going through into Q2, and I think, yeah, a lot of people don't want to go out. They're going to risk DNFing, and if of course they do DNF, they're fully out of qualifying. So they don't want to risk it. If they're going through, they're going through. But again, you have to be on your toes. You have to get yourself acclimatized to the circuit to in order to be quick. So you can't miss out an entire 18 minutes of running. If you're going to make it through, just full fuel all the way through, and just try and get that pace up slowly but surely. Get that pace up, and but still, yeah, Callum Evers coming in and saying, you know, he doesn't want to go out because of the risk of DNFing, and Corey already nearly falling victim to the changeable conditions, and it is going to probably improve throughout qualifying. We don't know, it could stay like this and maybe even travel in towards the race, but you have to have that balance of setup in both the wet. Of course, you're under parc ferme conditions until the as soon as you leave the garage for qualifying, and that has to carry through. You can't make any major setup decisions or changes between the start of quali and the race. It's not allowed. So you have to keep the same setup throughout qualifying, and you have to have that compromise between the wet and the dry. You don't want to be aquaplaning in the wet. You need to have that ride height a little bit further up, so you're not bottoming out the car and down the straight, going through a puddle and just bouncing up and down and up and down. It's not how you want to be doing things. So in the wet, you need to raise it so you're still quick enough in the wet, but not too much in the fact that you're then going to be very draggy, and a lot of that lower pressure air from underneath the car is going to be able to escape out the side. So you need to have that trade-off, and it is definitely an important one. But we're on board with the Mercedes of Corey. He's going to come through Blanchimont and down towards the bus stop chicane for his first flying lap. Already a little while into quali, now 14 minutes left to go. He's setting himself up for a lap, already into third gear, just to try and get that traction. You can see still revving up the rear wheels at 1100 horsepower roundabout in qualifying spec in that Mercedes, and it's all going to the rear wheels. In towards turn one, locking up the fronts, but managing to glide his way through, clipping that nice inside apex, using that camber to get the car turned, and you need to get a good exit. You're pretty much full throttle all the way down until Les Combes. Obviously in the wet, you're not going to be flat for a rouge, but let's see how committed he is. Bit of a lift, stays on the throttle though, doesn't even downshift until the top of Radion through this little curve and down towards Les Combes. He's just got to get that good exit, try and keep that minimum speed up, that straight line speed up all the way down. Looking for that 50 board, braking just before it. A decent first sector as he chucks it through. The new performance handle on these cars after the new update, definitely going to be something to adapt to in these wet conditions as well. But through Les Combes, negotiated that pretty well. Didn't get too stuck on the curbs. In towards Rivage, just aim yourself for that corner. Get as tight to the inside as you can so you're not caught out by that off camber. Down the hill, a little bit of a dip towards low name. Again, don't really want to be on that curb too much, but a little kiss doesn't hurt, and still you're all the way descending towards Pouhon. Down a couple of gears, get as close to that inside curb as you can. Don't run out too wide, nor be too greedy on the throttle. and then extend the track all the way to the left-hand side as he goes towards Campos. Chucks it in 4th gear, gets as tight to the inside as he can. Does not want to be on those curbs though, because they're going to be very slippery, and the change of angle and the change and the quick altitude change, or I guess say altitude, more the height change, and it will mess up the weight distribution of the car. So far a decent lap for Corey though, for a first lap in Q1. Not at all a bad effort, as he's now on this run down towards Blanchimont. As Bluefoot almost forgot he had a quali ban. He's going to be starting at 15th. As Corey goes through Blanchimont in a big hit. That is a huge crash. Luckily managed to get away scot-free. That very easily could have been the end of his qualifying session, and that is the risk you hold with going out so early. I don't think he's actually picked up any damage because, well, there's no carbon fibre and there's no visible damage. He comes across the line 2 minutes 2 for Corey. Definitely could have been a bit quicker with if he'd kept it straight. Kill the Crow. Got a couple of fans in the stream. Goes over the top of Raddy on over the crest. And lost a little bit of time there as well. Still waiting for Kiernan to come back. It's taken a little while, but hopefully we can join back with him in a couple of moments' time. JB, though, in the Ferrari. Comes across the line. 4:10's provisional fastest. That's a decent lap for the Ferrari. And is showing his pace around a very wet and miserable Belgian circuit, which is one of the only 4 circuits on the calendar to have originally been on the first F1 calendar back in 1950. Those, of course, being Silverstone, Monaco, Monza, and Spa. Well, that is that's a pretty good thing to consider. It's gone through a lot of changes in its time on the calendar, going from the very long, dangerous variant to the one we have now. Still very dangerous, but still a lot safer and a lot more fun to drive, I'm sure, for a lot of drivers. Eau Rouge has kept its nature and always been one of the drivers' favourites. You have to be so committed through it. Lewis Keaton in the Haas up into P3, 2 minutes 1:623. A little bit off the pace, not where he wants to be. I think we are now joined back by Kiernan, if he is back. Ben Finch, though, his teammate, Williams, of course, leading the Constructors' Championship. Ben Finch has managed to bring home a good number of points. Kiernan bringing home the majority of them, because Ben has shown pace but bottled it on a couple of occasions, and in fact he's got no front wing, has the Williams there, maybe into the back of Taylor Hammers at some point in the lap. Pulls his way back through, Kill the Crow into P2, 2 minutes 2:71, just settling in 2/1000ths of a second ahead of Kourou. And well, that's very close. 2 milliseconds is like literally no amount of time whatsoever at all. It is pretty much virtually identical lap times, but in the eyes of Formula 1 they're very much not. And yeah, if you put those laps side by side, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference with a visible eye. LB, JB Steve goes even quicker, a 58.721, 1.5 quicker, 1.5 seconds quicker than Kill the Crow. Tiernan, he's taken a while. He had to run off and go do something quickly. He will be back very shortly, though, I do hope. And we'll join back with him. Yeah, he won't be long. He won't be long. Focus on the driving, guys. We'll handle the broadcast. Don't worry. This is LB, though, one of the championship contenders from F1 2020 on the new game. Not as quick as he particularly would like to be, but still definitely up there. 9 minutes and 54 seconds left to go in this qualifying 1 session. The Alpine squirms his way across the line to set the provisional fastest time, a 1:58.195, just under 6 tenths quicker than JB Steve in P2. Still a couple of people out on track. JB's teammate Jamie, of course, winning last time out in Hungary after a post-race penalty for Tiernan after a qualifying infringement. Saw Jamie drunk win the race and showing everyone up. So he's looking to carry that momentum forwards into Spa. Unfortunately, invalidates over that curb. So wet indeed. That is you have eyes. Well done indeed. Very wet. Should be very hard to see if you're behind another car as well. You can see Ben on his outlap just crawling around, being so tentative. And I think Tiernan is back now. So if you are here, Tiernan, definitely do chip in. I don't think he is here. No, he's still not back. I have got confirmation that he is back, but I don't think he is properly here. 8 minutes 40 left to go in qualifying then. Qualifying 1. Every driver, provided they finish the session, will go through in towards Q2, that's when things get slightly more interesting. Just a tad. Koru on his outlap, trying to give absolutely everything, just trying to find a little bit more grip. You always find grip. Every corner the grip changes. Yeah, if you're the one to maybe take a little bit of risk, take a slightly different line, and you find a ton of grip, you definitely do get you reap the rewards from it, for sure. But Lewis Keaton on his lap, going to do a George Russell and go on the inters. Daniel Stott going to try something different. Definitely looks very wet. But an interesting strategy choice for sure. Through towards Bonchemont for Lewis Keaton. Should be completely flat out in the wet if you can hook it up, but unfortunately for him couldn't quite. He's not going to improve on this lap in particular. Jamie, is he going to be up to the first sector? He's set a 208.984 and a little bit up to the first sector, but it's all through the middle sector that he loses that time. Purple goes the Ferrari, going to try and topple LB, and with Tinnen well, not racing for the next couple of weeks, it's going to be it's going to open the door for a couple of people to claw back a couple of points and close that gap, and maybe even take the championship lead and give Tinnen something to fight for. Daniel Stott still waiting for him to go out on the inters. That'll definitely make something interesting. See if anyone's going to bite the bullet and see if the track is good enough. Jamie through Pouon, very nicely done. You're all the way. You're descending pretty much as soon as you come out of Lake Com. You go down the hill for Ravage, you go down the hill for No Name, down the hill for Pouon, and Pouon is all the way downhill. It's that long left all the way through Campos, and you're still descending. Then you slightly rise back up. Purple to the middle sector though goes Jamie. He's 10 seconds up and could be looking good to take provisional fastest away from LB, and that will definitely give him some confidence for the rest of qualifying. Of course, only Q2 and Q3 really matter in terms of actual positions, because as I say, everyone's going to go through in this session. Under brakes though, nails that, does not lock up one bit, doesn't flinch this Jamie, gets it through, nails both apexes, just needs to squirm sideways as he crosses the line, and he needs to get that power down quickly. Is it for original fastest? No, it's only second place, a 58.312. Maybe if that squirm didn't happen, he could have been on for fastest, but we never ever know. Koru a little bit up on his time to the first sector, looking to improve, goes through Campos, going through the right hand side through Stavolo 1 in towards Stavolo 2. He's a little bit down now, he's lost a bit of time to that middle sector, and that's not what he wants, considering the fact that he needs to improve by quite a bit, as we've lost Kiernan from the session. He is still alongside me in the party. Hopefully he can get back in. T. Gregors did say he was going to join midway through Q1, and here he is. He will unfortunately have to start at the back of the grid. Corey through the final corner, final chicane I should say. Kinnan has left the party, so I think we have lost him, unfortunately. Hopefully we can get him back in. Corey though, the Delta lied. He goes fastest, a 57.3, 8/10 faster than LB, just shy of 9. That's a very good lap, and myself and Tinnen was talking before we come on stream, that our probably the one we would expect to step up would be Koru, Ben, or LB, in order to step up and fill the shoes of Tinnen to be the dominant force in RRL, and it definitely does open the door for a lot of people. This is Daniel Stott on the intermediate tyre, the green wool intermediates. Going through Blanchimont, let's see if he can keep his foot flat. He does. He's not using any ERS or fuel mixture at the moment, so that's probably not how he's going to do it on his actual lap. Taylor Hammers though out of the session. He had a crash going in towards Eau Rouge. That's a strange one. It wasn't even like he lost it through Eau Rouge. It's well before Eau Rouge. Maybe he spun coming out of La Source. That's probably the most reasonable explanation. We're on board with Daniel Stott on the inters. Are they going to be quicker? We'll have to wait and find out. Very tentative through La Source. Maybe over the sausage curb, went wide, come back onto the track and lost the rear, maybe? That's a very weird crash, and Taylor Hammers is now out of qualifying and will start the race from P15, probably actually even P16 maybe, depending on where T. Gregors starts. Through and down the Kemmel Straight to the left hand side, Daniel Stott. Let's see where he stacks up in comparison to everyone else. Should be, in fact, yeah, it is going to be quite slow. 33.8, not that far off. But for one sector that's pretty much comprised of 1, 2, 3 corners. That's a lot of time lost. But who knows? At least he's trying. Three minutes left to go in Q1. Koru leads ahead of Ben Finch, who actually come in to put a lap for P2 at 57.936, just marginally ahead of LB, who's looking to improve upon his time, even though it doesn't particularly matter. And if he DNFs, he's completely out of qualifying. Steve on his run in qualifying, he currently sits P6. One does not want to hit that curve on his actual lap. That's going to very much spit him out very quickly. Through Campos, the right then the left. Through Stavilo 1. In the dry, Spa is a very flowing circuit. In the wet, still sort of is, but not to the same extent. You have to really be stop and starty quite a lot. And it is just about nailing that lap and not leaving anything on the table as he now looks to start. 2 minutes 13 left to go. This will be everyone's pretty much final lap if they're not already on the circuit. Through the bus stop chicane, gets it through second gear. Let's see how tentative he is on the throttle. You can see just blipping that throttle, trying to keep the turbo whirling, but also build up that confidence, build up that traction in the rear wheels. In towards La Source, you can see Cadence braking, pumping that brake pedal as to not lock up and still get it stopped. Bit of a scram off the exit of La Source for Joe Brown, as he now dips down for Eau Rouge and then quickly back up. The car will go very light as he goes up through Eau Rouge. Took a little bit too much curve through Radion and invalidates his final run in qualifying 1. All 15 though, all 14 will go through. Because Taylor Hammers won't be, as the team cannot repair a damaged car in about 3 minutes. Down the hill towards P1 for Daniel Stott. He is still going relatively quickly. It looks like a good lap, but it just isn't stacked up against but stacked up against the wedge just doesn't have that same grip. So for the Inters, I'm sure they're incredible laps, but they're just not quite quick enough yet. As C1 is also DNF from this qualifying session. He had a bit of a crash in the pit lane. Oh no, yeah, he didn't crash, he just retired, so it's all good. Closing stages then of Q1, only a few seconds until the checkered flag drops, and then everyone will be on their final runs. Checkered flag is out, and a lot of people already finished their laps, did not want to go out for a second or third run, and slowly building up that confidence. Ben Finch in second place, LB third. Both trying to improve. T. Gregor Solvenson from Bluefoot, of course, Bluefoot can't. C1 though didn't go for a proper lap, and that could harm him in Q2 and 3 because anyone that did already has that experience in the wet and sort of knows where the grip is and isn't. LB though 8/10 up to the first, to the middle sector. And that could see him provisional fastest if he can improve just slightly, a little bit into this final sector and not lose too much time. He could go fastest and give himself that confidence boost into Q2 where he needs to get inside the top 10, then Q3 where it's all down to whoever can put the fastest lap in, and that is where you'll see the fight for pole position, the fight for the top 10 places through the bus stop chicane for LB. Can he go provisionally quickest in the dying stages of qualifying? No, he can't. It's only a 1:57.420, 8 milliseconds off Ben Finch in P2, so couldn't quite improve it enough. But a very close top 3 considering it's wet. A bit of a gap down to the Ferrari of Jamie, but still waiting for Daniel Stott. to finish his lap on the Inters. No, not really anywhere in this qualifying. Of course, just going out on the Inters, but to be fair, only 1.7 seconds off T-Gregors on the tyre. That's probably around about 3 seconds slower a lap, so not bad. Not bad at all from Daniel. He comes across the line, 2 minutes 4. Good effort. It probably should clear up slowly throughout the sessions, I should say. It's still raining quite hard. But after 80 minutes of Q1, Koru has the pace as it stands in the Mercedes. Ben Finch P2, but they'll be P3, just over a tenth, separating the top three. A second back, though, is Jamie in the Ferrari in P4, Lewis Kitson P5 with JB in P6, Kill the Crow in P7, Spiderina P8, T. Greg is P9 with Daniel Stott rounding off the top 10, Solomon Sniffer in P12 with the two Irishmen of C1 and Bluefoot unable to put a time in, and Bluefoot, of course, with a qualifying ban. Couldn't take part in qualifying anyway. Taylor Hammer's the only man to be eliminated, as he was the only man to DNF and crash on circuit, and that's why he won't be taking any further part in qualifying. Won't be a couple of moments, and then we'll be back for Q2, so don't go anywhere. And still on that wet weather into Q2. 15 minutes this time on the clock, and still the extreme wet's the recommended tyre to be on, so it's going to stay probably like this for the entirety of qualifying, but we never know how, well, with Spa, how quickly the conditions can change. So Kill the Crow, the first man to head out, and of course this is the crucial session where drivers are going to have to be on their toes. They're going to have to actually try and get through and get themselves into the top 10. This is probably the only qualifying session that particularly matters in a sense. Q3 will just be a normal qualifying session. This one you need to actually get out and put a good time in to get yourself into the top 10. So, Kill the Crow, I won't be on this in Q2, no. I mean, if you make it through to Q3 on Inters, I will be very impressed, and I'll give you a gold star. I'll give you an autograph, another one. I think I've given you one. I'll give you another one if you make it through to Q3 on the intermediate tyres. In fact, I'll hand deliver an autograph if you do it on slicks. You can have a photo and everything. Get through to Q3 on slicks, and I will if we start in the back, I can make some progress. Fingers crossed, that is the way to go. We always want to go forwards, not backwards, and when you're at the back, you can only do better. Daniel Stott does an incredible job of invalidating his lap time. Killed the Crow, heading towards Blanchimont to start his first run of Q2. A very long lap here at Spa. The longest distance-wise on the track, slightly off to Singapore in terms of the amount of corners. 7.004 kilometres is the circuit to Spa-Francorchamps, slightly over the FIA's preferred limit because of the history of Spa and the fact that it wasn't constructed newly. They've let it slide. In fact, it is just Spa, but yeah, 21 corners for Singapore. I'm pretty sure around about 20 for Spa, 19, around about that. But on board with Kill the Crow for his lap in quali. Hooks up turn 1 relatively well through the right-hander before you dip down the hill, go up Eau Rouge. Really going to be feeling that in real life. Not something I've ever done. I would like to, definitely would not say no to a track day at Spa nor the Nordschleife. It'd be pretty good to go up Eau Rouge and all of that, but yeah, maybe one day. Purple to the first sector goes Kill the Crow because he's the only man to set a time to the first sector. and well, at least he's fastest for the time being. He's got some fans in the chat that are going to be cheering on in the Haas in towards Rivage. You want to really aim yourself at the corner. We saw Koru do it in Q1. He just aimed himself at Rivage, got it stopped, and then he was already tight. He didn't have to brake in a straight line on the left and then turn. He broke in a straight line while aiming himself at the inside apex and got it stopped and stayed tight, and that really does work for a certain amount of corners. And for Rivage in the wet, probably one of the best examples of you having to do that. And that could definitely be the difference in terms of a couple of tenths. And well, after qualifying one with the top three separated by just over a tenth of a second, which is, by the way, a blink of an eye. They crossed the line all within a blink of an eye. Pretty much on their lap time. A 1:27.2 to the middle sector for Kill the Crow. Let's see how much he can improve and try and find a bit more time on the final sector. Only a couple of corners. The middle sector is really the meaty one, with the first and third pretty much being a straight line and flat out corners. In towards the bus stop chicane for Kill the Crow, though. He's going to round off his first run in Q2. Has the track improved? Has he improved? We'll have a look. 53 as he exits. It's probably going to be slightly slower than the Q1 pole time. Indeed it is. It's going to be a 58.59.2 for Kill the Crow. So has the track gotten slightly slower? We'll see, as there are a couple of people still crossing the line. Solvent Sniffer and Jamie to start their runs. 57.6 for Jamie. I think he invalidated maybe his run on board with Ben Finch. Goes purple to the first sector and is looking pretty damn good. And of course, he's so quick, Ben. Ben is an incredibly quick driver. JB, though, 58.455 goes provisional fastest by around about 8 tenths or so, just shy. But Ben, definitely one of the fastest in terms of one lap pace. And even into the race, he does carry that consistency, but it always goes wrong. It's one big mistake as opposed to very little mistakes. Luke couldn't make it today. Solvent Sniffer, though, an incredible lap time in the AlphaTauri, the 57.112. Very nice lap indeed, 1.3 seconds quicker than Steve. Solvent, as always, showing up and delivering. Purple to middle sector, though, goes Ben Finch as he actually tries to set a lap time in Q2. We're going to see his true pace. Sailor Hammers has left the session, so maybe not particularly happy that he's going to be starting at the back. There's an Alfa Romeo gone round. Is that Daniel Stott? Indeed it is. No surprise there. Should probably go for the slicks. They might give him a little bit more luck. Or probably the Inters maybe the better way to go. But slicks as well. If you're going to go for it, might as well go all out. This is Ben Finch through the final corner. And on the drag race to the line. Is it quickest? No. 57.422. Slightly behind Solvent Sniffer. 3 tenths and 10 100ths of a second. Oh no, 1/100th of a second. 10 100ths of a second is just a tenth of a second. But that's not the point. JB Steve into P3 at 58.455 on his lap. Had a bit of a spin through Puon in his second attempt. Koru still yet to exit the pit lane. Probably going saving these wet tyre sets and going for one quick lap at the end. Jamie using all of the track for Blanchimont. That maybe got a bit of grass on his tyres and he went straight on through Blanchimont. That's particularly not the fastest way around the circuit. As he comes in to the pit lane, 7 minutes 46 left to go now, halfway through Q2. Still a long way to go in this qualifying session. As Ben Finch goes through Campos, through the right, through the left. Is he going to improve upon this lap, or is he coming in? We'll have a look as he goes through in towards Stavolo 2. Gets on the power. Is he up? Indeed he is. 6 tenths and purple. This is a very good lap from Ben Finch for his second run in the qualifying overall. Looking very good, and will probably take pole and be the first man into the 56s. So the track slightly improving. Whether that's down to Ben or the track, we don't know. Probably a mixture of both, because Ben, as I say, very quick, and the track probably getting slightly dry as we go on. 60 litres average the Pirelli wet tyres displace. I believe it's something like 85 when they're at 300 kilometers an hour. Across the line though, bit of a squirm. Is it going to be a 56? Indeed it is, a 56.654 for Ben Finch, who should be comfortably into Q2, but we never know how much the track is going to change as we go through. Never ever know. Never ever get complacent when it comes to motorsport. Because you're never ever safe, no matter who you are. Yeah, Stotty, unfortunately, went for a bit of a spin earlier on through No Name, and that could be costly for him. Lewis Keaton on the exit of Campos through the left, went a little bit wide over the curb and invalidated his run. He goes through into the pit lane. The Mazepin of RRL, indeed, indeed. He's on the slicks. Come on, Star, get through. Do us a favour, do us a solid. We want to see it. We want to see the Tokyo drifts. We might be in Spa, but there's no reason why we can't have a couple of drifts. LB looking to round off his at first lap. Koru's still yet to come out. He's risking it quite a lot by leaving it very late. LB across the line. It's probably going to be P3 or 57.1. Matches Solvent Sniffer by just over half a tenth. You should 100%, please. I want to see it. T. Greg is in the Aston Martin, another driver that's been very quick and very consistent. In towards Campos. Fifth gear, fourth gear, just pumping that brake through. Daniel, please. I beg you to go on those slicks, because I'm by myself. Tinnan's left me. We've got qualifying. I need something to spice it up a bit. If you get through to Q3 on softs, you will be the GOAT of RRL. So you might as well try. T. Gregors through in towards Bonchimon. Through the left, 185 miles an hour, 300 kilometers an hour as he goes through the flat out left in towards the final corner. The bus stop chicane gets it through, clips the right, clips the left, and I can see Daniel's on his outlap, so we're going to cut to him in just a second across the line. He can only go P7 at 2 minutes 5. This is Daniel on the soft compound tyre, being very tentative on his way around. Let's see if he can set a competitive lap time. Those slicks are going to be dreadful. He's not displacing any water with the treads like your road car does. He's got a slick surface that's hardly going to be touching the ground. He goes very deep through through the com, sorry. Has to wait for the Ferrari behind to come through as he goes through the right. And he's going to move to the right to get out of the way, I'm sure. But look how much he's squirming. Look at that. He's loving the airtime, I'm sure. He might get in the way of Steve. Indeed he has. Steve on a lap, and that's unfortunate for Daniel. Hopefully he doesn't get a penalty for that. Daniel, he's doing you proud, Luke. That's what he's doing. He's doing you proud. He's using the karting line. Look at that, going all the way around the outside to not be on the marbles on the inside, the rubber marbles. It's going to make the inside very slippery. Is he going to do it through Pool 1 as well? Look how tense it, third gear through Pool 1. Still 104 miles an hour, even on slicks. To be fair, all he has to do is set a time and he's through. Whether that is going to stand or not is another thing. But if he sets a time, he's through. Engineer just said at least 20 minutes heavy rain. So this probably is going to carry on through to Q3. As Daniel moves out of the way of a lot of people in order to let them have some breathing space on their lap. Corey still in the pit lane. He is chancing this a lot. Now heading out, he's going to have one run, and one run only. He cannot mess it up. If he invalidates it, he's out of qualifying. Straight up, just out of qualifying, and Corey does not want to do that. That's why you need the banker lap time. That's why Ben and Solvin and LB and Lewis have all come out now early, so they have that banker time, so they don't have all that pressure on them in the dying stages. They have something to fall back on. But this is Daniel. We're going to ride on board with it because this is going to be an absolute magical lap. He's going to pull, I think it was Brad Binder in Austria in MotoGP. Slicks in the rain. Michael Schumacher at this very circuit stayed out on slicks in the rain to win the race. Can Daniel get himself into Q3 in the Alfa Romeo on slick tyres? Goes in very deep for turn 1. Almost spins on the exit, but that's the quickest line through. Daniel knows that. He's rapid. He just needs to set a time and it'll be good enough for P10. And all he needs is C1 and Corey to not set a time, and he'll scrape through on the slick tyres. Up to the top of Eau Rouge and Radion. All very sideways. Nearly a Lando Norris moment there. Nearly put it in the wall. Going down now the Camel Straight. He's going to be aquaplaning a ton as he goes under braking. Very tentative. Third gear, second gear. Gets it turned in. Very nicely done for the Alfa Romeo. Despite being on slick tyres. He's hardly using the throttle. As soon as he puts it down, the rear end just wants to get away from him. Look at the squirming in 6th gear, straight under brakes for second. Really just having to wrestle the car around. C1 to start his lap time. Is he going to spin? Is he going to bottle it? Is Koru going to bottle his lap and allow Daniel to get through? He's absolutely loving this. He really is loving this. He's going very slowly because he knows he can't wheel spin through P1. He's not going to beat C1 and Koru if they do set a lap time. But if they invalidate, he could be set for this. He's hoping the AlphaTauri and Mercedes don't improve, or don't in fact actually set a lap time overall, because they can't have it. They can't improve. They don't have anything to improve upon through the middle sector. And he's probably around about 40 seconds slower is going to be my guess, because he's got the entirety of the final sector to go, and he's pretty much already lost to the pole timer. 142 as he goes to the middle sector. C1 in towards No Name. Koru in towards Lecom. Goes purple to the first sector. 33-0. Daniel, who only has a couple more corners to negotiate. The checkered flag is out. Solvent Sniffer has retired from the session. Is that on track? Oh no, Daniel's gone very wide. He's backed off as to not spin and lose his time. He goes across the circuit. Get back on, because you might have a chance of getting through if C1 invalidates, or if Koru invalidates. Still has a chance. He crawls his way across the line. It's going to be a 2:23, 2:20 or 2:22.7. He goes P10 at the moment. He's going through to qualifying 3. Can C1 deny him? Can Koru deny him? Probably, but we have our hopes. C1 through Bonchimon. Should be easy pickings for him to get himself into qualifying 3. Someone has to be knocked out. It's either going to be someone. It's probably going to be Daniel, as the AlphaTauri now negotiates the final corner, and he is going to improve, and Daniel unfortunately is out of qualifying. He goes into P7. Spiderina though on the cusp, and it could be Daniel and Spider both out of this session. Under brakes for the bus stop chicane, gets it turned in, hits one apex, gets it turned to the left, downshift 1, hits the second. The GOAT, he tried, P11, P12 on slick tyres as Corey comes across the line, goes 4th. Spiderina and Daniel are those knocked out of qualifying 2. So Q2 draws to a close. It's Ben Finch that tops the session ahead of the AlphaTauri of Solvent Sniffer in P2. T Greg is P3 with Corey P4, LB in P5, Jamie P6 with JB in P7, C1 and P8, Lewis Kirton P9 with Kill the Crow on the cusp of being knocked out. Spiderina and Daniel Stott unable to get themselves into the top 10 though. The Alfa Romeo on slick tyres. P12 a valiant effort indeed, and Bluefoot of course with his qualifying ban will start P13. It's a little bit cheeky that he managed to get through to Q2 and not start P15, but hey ho. now into, definitely was the moment of quali. It really was. That is the moment of the season. Still full wet for Q3. The weather hasn't shifted. Exactly. He sacrificed himself. He did it for the greater good. He did it for us. Did it for the viewers. He gave us something to watch. It was a beautiful lap. But Kill the Crow, Corey heading out in Q3. Corey not messing around. He saved up his sets of tyres, his sets of full extreme wet tyres for this very moment. 12 minutes on the clock as C1 has left the session at the crucial time, the top 10 deciding moment, and he's left. That is, let's hope he can get back in, because he's not got long in Q3. You need to be on it for Q3, especially at a circuit like Spa, where you don't have that much time to get the laps in. Because of course it's a very long lap. Q3 in Austria is very different to Q3 at Spa. That is definitely for sure. Solomon Sniffer moving out of the way for Koru, and so too is the man in front of him, the Williams of the Alpine of LB. There's so much blue on the grid. You've got the Mercedes, the Red Bull, and of course the Alpine and Williams. Different shades of blue, but the Alpine and Williams especially are very different. Like it's difficult to remember which is the dark shade and which is the lighter shade. But the dark shade is the Williams, the light shade is the Alpine, and then the sort of silvery turquoisey blue is the Mercedes, and then the very dark one is the Red Bull. He couldn't take the heat, so he left the kitchen. I'll find a way to use that at some point in a commentary stream. That is a quote to live by. I will find a way to use that. I'll sneak it in somewhere. Kill the Crow though in the Haas. He'll once again be the first man to set a lap in Q3, set the benchmark for everyone to beat. Koru will probably smash it, and that's no offence to Kill the Crow. That's just a testament to how quick Koru is. And Daniel, yeah, well, he's coming back. He definitely can take the heat because he's dealing it out. And yeah, Luke, didn't see you get out of Q1, so that's that. But in towards the bus stop chicane for a lot of people who are not messing around. We've got we've got 9 of the 10 cars out on track. Everyone who's in the session is out on track. Kill the Crow though, has he maybe invalidated his next lap? We don't know. That was very close, but he comes across the line on his out lap. He starts his first run in Q3, and I think he's all good to carry on. Look for that 100 just before, down to second, turn very early, use the camber, don't want to clabber that curb. Like you saw he did there, but then you want to get a good exit, because you need the good exit. The run all the way down to Les Combes, through Eau Rouge, through Radion. Feel a little kink on the Camel Straight. He goes in quite deep, but carries the speed. That was committed from the Haas. Pretty much flat out, almost flat out. Not a downshift. Well, there was a downshift just then. Maybe an accidental one, because he definitely didn't need to do that. 33.125. That almost matched Corey to the to Q1. 33.4. So he's beat Corey to the first sector. Has the Haas. But let's make or break through the middle and final sector. Let's see how Kill the Crow can do in the Haas. We've still got 22 laps of a race after this as well. So yeah, still a lot of stream left to go, so stick around for sure. The main spectacle is yet to start, and will the rain carry over? We do not know. In towards Pillman, down the hill. Jack it in. 6th gear, 5th gear. And climbing up the gears as you descend the hill. In towards Campos as it starts to level out. Tinnen has unfortunately had to leave due to personal issues that I'm not quite sure of myself, and that's a shame, but he needs that time to take to himself, and that's perfectly fine. I've been fine by myself for the last about a month and a bit or so. So I'm sure I'll be absolutely fine for today. It's just talking for 2 hours. It's very difficult when you're by yourself. So I was looking forward to having Tim alongside me, but hey ho, things don't always go to plan, and that is a shame. But maybe next week we'll see him alongside for next week. In towards the bus stop chicane goes Kill the Crow to the left hand side, and to the right to open up that corner. Shortest run to the line, 59.0. Corey across the line, 57.3. Very decent time indeed. Solvent Sniffer, or is it C1? It's Solvent Sniffer going sideways on the exit. Very easy mistake to do as he comes across the line. It's quicker. It's a 57.051. Very nice lap indeed. As Steve goes in P3 at 58.1. Jamie next across the line, 58.5, 4 tenths shy of his teammate. At the moment it's an all Ferrari second row, but we've still got some very quick guys to set a lap time, Ben Finch being one of them. Let's see where he can put himself in comparison to Koru and Solomon Sniffer. They've got to be his benchmark to his time. In fact, T. Gregors is another benchmark at 56.6 as Ben Finch crossed the line at 56.457. This is a very spicy qualifying session indeed then, as the top four separated by just under a second, but Corey can definitely improve and probably will improve. He's out there again trying to improve. Down towards No Name, chuck it through third gear. Thank you, Taylor, and best of luck to you from starting at the back of the grid, and I hope you do try and fight your way through. Solomon Sniffer as well out there trying to improve. T. Greg is out there trying to improve. In fact, no, he's not. He's on a cooldown lap. So too is Ben Finch. They're going to come in, refuel and go again. Lewis Kearton invalidated his run. This is Koru. We're going to see him come through the middle sector, braking around the start of the curb down to third gear. Fourth gear for the extra traction. Is he up on his time? He is. 8 tenths and purple. This could be very good indeed if he can find a little bit more time. LB out of the session. He had a crash on the exit of Puon. Right on board with, I believe, Lewis Kearton. What has happened? Yeah, just a snap. Bounced off the wall and in he goes. That is a shame. We're going to ride on board with Corey because he looks to be going for provisional pole position. A spin of the Alpine still causing it yellow flags. But as Corey rounds the final chicane, through the right, through the left, third gear to get the traction, needs to keep that loud pedal sensible across the line. Is it quickest? No! It's a 56.591. Lost a bit of time in that final sector. That squirm off the exit definitely did not help. It's only good enough for P2. Solvent Sniffer, 56.170 though. Nice lap from the AlphaTauri, who again is proving very, very good from his promotion from Tier 2, which of course has merged with Tier 1, but before, when it was 2 tiers, he managed to get the promotion and is already showing his mettle. Koru and T. Greg is separated by virtually nothing, less than half a tenth between the two, and the entire top 5 separated again by less than 9 tenths of a second. JB also looking to improve. He's about a second back off the top 5. Top 5 just sort of in a league of their own. As Koru comes through Ravage. Is he going again? No, he's invalidated his lap. In towards Puon. Flick it to the left. Yes, you do. I'll commend it. Oh, big snap from Corey. That was well held. So, well, yeah. I mean, Corey definitely deserves one for that. That was an impeccable save. Just reacted to the car very well. We're entering the final stages of Q3, and before that, I will be right back. Will not be too long, about 30 seconds or so, ready for the pole shootout. But don't go anywhere for sure. It'll be about a 30-second intermission. But until then, stay tuned and maybe even go get yourself a drink while you wait. And we are back. Sorry for that brief intermission. I had to just run and grab something very quickly. 2 minutes 20 left to go in this session. Q3, T. Gregors at the moment managing to match the pole time of Solvent Sniffer, a 56.170, a long lap like Spa, and in the wet You definitely couldn't have asked for closer than that. The closing stages then is Ben Finch, Corey and C1 are all on their outlaps for their final runs. T. Gregors has shown pace all throughout qualifying. Indeed, I am, Lewis. Indeed, indeed. Going through No Name, which has a name. Solvent Sniffer, still in the pit lane though. Is he coming out? No, he is out. He is out. It just didn't register. So he is coming out. That's good. That's fine lines for Solvent Sniffer. He might not be able to get another lap in. It'll be very close indeed. Ben Finch, soon to start his lap, needs 3 temps to see himself on a provisional pole. Thank you, Luke. Thank you to everyone. I'm working towards that. I don't think I'm quite there yet, but I'm working towards it, and I definitely want to be, and I definitely think I can be. As Ben Finch moves nicely out of the way for Steve, as he climbs up towards the final chicane. I won't call it the bus stop chicane now Lewis is here, because he'll definitely have a go at me. But I always will call it Rivage. It's not Brussels, it's Rivage. Every day of the week. Ben Finch to start his final lap of qualifying 3. 1 minute left on the clock. He needs to hook this one up. Can he pull a George Russell? Jamie F1 retired from the session. He'll stay P8 as he goes through the little kink to the right hand side, trying to set up Eau Rouge and Radion as best he can. Dips down then straight back up the hill. That was committed, that was bold, that was brave from Ben Finch to keep his foot in through Eau Rouge and Radion. To the left hand side goes Ben to open up Les Combes. He's a little bit down to the first sector. 5 1,000ths is all to gain and all to lose in the middle and final sector though. Can he do it? He needs 3 temps. T. Greg is starting his final lap. Solvent Sniffer, it's going to be very close for him to make it. Koru also through turn 1. We're on board with Ben Finch, currently P3 and currently just shy of 3/10 off pole positions, down towards No Name corner and then further down the hill towards P1. You can see very tentative with the throttle, and you have to be with that 1100 brake horsepower going to the rear wheels exclusively. Lewis and Steve didn't manage to make the flag for their final runs. They'll be 6th and 7th at the best. In towards Campos goes Ben Finch, chucks it through 4th gear, trail braking through and using that throttle to keep the car in check, keep the rate distribution in check. Kill the Crow has retired off the exit of Campos, and that is a shame. He'll stay P9, so it's a fight between the top 5. Has Ben improved? He has. He's purple, he's 5/10 up, and he could manage to sneak pole position. Purple to the middle sector goes to Williams. He's now got the long run through Blanchimont and towards the chicane. Let's see if he can do it. Completely flat, completely brave. Oh, that's a big step of oversteer into the wall. He's going to carry on. He's definitely lost a lot of time and maybe even bottled pole position deep into the final chicane, and he's going to invalidate his lap. Ben Finch is P3 at the best. Solvent Sniffer, has he improved to the first sector? T. Gregors seems to be very understeery through Campos. Has he picked up a bit of damage elsewhere? He's on very old wet tyres as well. Corey, purple to the middle sector. He's got a massive snap and managed to save it, but that is his chance of pole position ended as well. Could Solvent Sniffer hang on? T. Gregors 16 seconds down. Solvent might in fact manage to hang on. He's invalidated his run, but a very anticlimactic end to qualifying because the entirety of the top 5 bottled their final runs. Ben looked good, Koru too looked good, but both of them had their own little incidents and managed to bottle their laps. Across the line, no, not over till it's over, and he is in fact still slower and stays P4. Piff Paff, okay, I shall call it Piff Paff. Piff Paff, I've never heard it called Piff Paff before, but I will call it Piff Paff from now on. For sure. Solvent Sniffer takes pole position then by the skin of his teeth, crawls home, and well, I think if it wasn't for everyone else invalidating, Ben definitely could have snuck that one. Very easily could have snuck that one. So that's Q3 drawn to a very anticlimactic end, but it showed promise. And that is qualifying as a whole. We've still got 22 laps of the Belgian Grand Prix left to go, but this is how the top 10 will stack up for the short run, the 247 metre dash to La Source. It's Solvent Sniffer who takes pole position, and T. Gregors matched his time of a 1:56.170, but Solvent Sniffer got it done first and takes pole position. Ben Finch in P3 with Corey rounding off the second row. C1 P5 with Lewis Kitten in P6. JB in P7 with a Jamie making it an all Ferrari fourth row. Kill the Crow in P9 with LB rounding off in P10. Couldn't set a competitive lap in Q3 after a crash through P1, and that's how they rack up for the start of this race. 1 formation lap and 22 laps. Is it going to be dry? Is it going to be wet? And how will that affect things? Is it going to be interchangeable? Is it going to be wet to dry? Or we never know. The conditions definitely didn't shift through qualifying one bit, and how that will affect the Sunday, we don't know. 15 drivers, 16 drivers in fact, I believe, on the grid for the Belgian Grand Prix. It's going to be a good one for sure because the pace looks promising. We're now loading in and I'll see the conditions. Very overcast, so still got that possibility for a bit of rain, bit of sprinkle. So well, we never know. Yeah, Daniel Stott, best of luck to you. Ben Finch, best of luck. Best of luck to Kill the Crow. Yeah. The corners at Spa are rather confusing, going through a lot of changes. But we go, we're underway for the formation lap. The predicted pit stop strategy then, soft to medium, or soft to hard. Solvent Sniffer will lead the way. We know the top 10, but outside it's Spiderina, Daniel Stott, Bluefoot and Taylor Hammers that round off 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th on the grid. Also didn't know LB is Japanese. For one, it's the South Korean flag. But he the amount of times he's spinning, you probably would guess that he is Japanese with the Tokyo Drifts. But hey, I didn't tell you that. On the tyres wise, everyone going for the red wool soft tyre. No difference in strategies here. Everyone going for the same thing. LB and Jamie both disqualified from the session. They're going to be starting at the grid. Oh well, everyone's going to be starting at the grid. Everyone's going to be starting at the grid, but they're going to be at the grid now, and their tyres are going to be very cold by the time everyone else gets there. Look how daunting those clouds look, though. They are very scary. They're looming over. They're like an ominous shadow over the circuit. It's just there, teasing with the thought of rain. Ready to rain. Are we going to see any breaks in the cloud? Are we going to see sunshine? Are we going to see rain? It can go either way when there's overcast. It's never clear cut. That is just the added spice that comes with racing at Spa. Taylor only now coming through Ravage, whereas Solvent Sniffer is on his way towards Blanchimont. That is definitely not adhering to the 10 car length minimum. You've got the entire midfield bunched up, and then you've got 1, 2 and 3 very much ahead and separated. In fact, no, you haven't. You've got the AlphaTauri of C1 in P3. You don't want to faff about with anyone behind. But Taylor, he's going to be wearing out his tyres to try and catch up to the field and warm them up. But that's an interesting one. A very interesting one indeed. Solomon Sniffer lining up alongside T. Gregors. The pole is on the inside, the dirty side of the circuit. That could invite T. Gregors to maybe have a look around the outside, but we never ever know. The run towards Les Combes on the first lap is always the most exciting. Solomon Sniffer on pole. T. Gregors alongside Ben Finch and Corey going to benefit off that slipstream down towards Les Combes. A 247 metre run to the first corner. The start is very crucial indeed, and we see turn 1 incidents happen all the time when it comes to Spa. Just look to 2012 and of course to 2018, and pretty much any other year there's been something that happens towards La Source. Waiting for Taylor Hammers to round off the back of the grid, then we'll get the green flag waves and the 5 red lights to come on and set us off for 22 laps. Round number 8 of the RRL Championship. Taylor Hammers rounds off then pulling into his grid slot, lining up very nicely, even though it's the AI taking control. Here we go. Green flag is waved. We go to 5 red lights, 1 lights, 2 lights, 3, 4, 5 red lights for the Belgian Grand Prix, and we're underway, and it's a very good start for T. Gregors, and so too for Ben Finch in the Williams. C1 gets an absolutely incredible start. They're 3 abreast in towards turn 1. T. Gregors tries to pull alongside the AlphaTauri, and the Williams of Ben Finch is getting swamped by the Mercedes and C1 on his inside. They're going to be 3 abreast down towards Eau Rouge, and Radion. The Williams is ahead. Koru looking to make up places. C1 has to tuck him behind one by one as they all try and filter the way through. Solvent Sniffer leads from T. Gregors, who's going to be tucked up in the slipstream using his ERS to try and claim the lead. Solvent Sniffer defends to the inside. T. Gregors, the Aston, pulls to the left in towards Lecom. The AlphaTauri on the right. Is he going to brake and try and go the long way round? No, he's not. Solvent Sniffer claims the corner. Very nicely done as Jamie swapping positions with Daniel, who's up into P8 off the start. An incredible start for the Alfa Romeo after qualifying on the slick compound tyre and starting P12 on the sauce, which is something commendable indeed. In towards No Name for the first time. Solomon Sniffer leads from Gregors, Ben Finch, Cora and C1. Your top 5, they haven't shifted much, if at all. Indeed they haven't. It's still been kicking off in the midfield as Daniel Stott and Jamie are going to run side by side in towards P1. Very nicely done for them to keep that clean. 2/10 separate the front 2, and T. Gregors on the curb, and he's been sent round, and Ben Finch into P2. Koru onto the podium, and T. Gregors with a massive bottle over that curb on the inside, and the Red Bulls joined him. Bluefoot, a qualifying ban, reset to track, and that could be another one on his name for next week. 2/10 between Koru. This first lap has been absolutely intense, absolutely crucial to set the tone for the rest of this race. Koru in the slipstream, closing on Ben Finch, who's probably going to have to defend in towards the bus stop chicane, but we'll have to wait and see. Lap 1 draws to a close. Is Koru going to send it to the right hand side? No, he's not, as they go through the chicane. Then Kill the Crow all over the back of C1 as well. The top 5 separated by absolutely nothing. Solomon Sniffer leads them then over the line. We definitely did speak too soon. Taylor Hammers on the back of LB, or a little bit further back. Daniel Stott looking to go up the inside though. Very nicely done. Gets it stopped, but opens up the steering. Gets a bit of a snap of oversteer. Smacks into the side of the Mercedes. And that is not what you want to see at all. He's now outside of the points as Kill the Crow has gone for a spin up the top of Radion, and he's round, and he's lost his front wing, and we've got a VSC in effect. That did not take long whatsoever. The VSC promoted to a full safety car because of excessive debris on the track. So we've got the safety car out for the first time on lap 2. Lap 2, my apologies. So, is this going to trigger any pit stops? I'm not entirely sure. Because everyone's on the softs. I mean, of course, those with damage are, of course, going to come into the pit lane. Maybe the likes of T. Gregors, who doesn't seem to have much damage on this front. But he might do. Maybe it's just not visible, but we don't know. Bluefoot definitely needs to come into the pit lane. He surely has damage. But yeah. Probably going to go on to another set of softs and just carry on their strategy, but with +2 laps. Through towards Blanchimont. Under the safety car, they have to, of course, adhere to that 40% delta. Is Solvent Sniffer coming into the pit lane? No, stays out. So the safety car not triggering any pit stops. Corey's going to stay out. C1 staying out. Is Steve coming in? No. Is Jamie coming in? No. LB stays out. Taylor stays out. Keaton stays out. Daniel stays out. Kill the Crows in. Gregors stays out. Obviously doesn't have any damage. Spiderina comes in also. Is Bluefoot going to come in? I mean, I'd imagine so. They might have to double stack because of the wing change, but at least they're not going to lose too much time. Spiderina's not going to lose anything apart from that 5-second time penalty that's going to be added on the next time they come into the pit lane. On to the medium tyre, probably to around about lap 15, 16, 17, and then another splash onto the softs. Light car and fast tyres should be pretty much quali laps if they can keep that pace up. We'll have to wait and see. Waiting for the Red Bull Haas and the other Red Bull to close onto the back of the safety car queue. If they can do it quickly, we should be able to go back. Should be back to green flag racing at the end of this one. 3 seconds added on for Spiderina, who unfortunately exceeded track limits under the safety car, which is very strange. But they all queue up behind the Mercedes safety car this time around, which we definitely saw a lot of. Well, we didn't actually see a lot of it. Any lap that was raced in the real life 2021 Belgian Grand Prix was under the safety car, so in that regard we saw it a lot. But for the remainder of the other 4.5 hours, it was pretty much just panned shots of the track and team radios. At least we've got a bit of a race on our hands today. Should be at the end of next lap we'll go green, because Spiderina's taking their time to get round. Solvent Sniffer on the restart is going to need to be absolutely on it. Of course, the safety car restart at Spa is definitely very different, because it's a short run to the line and the final corner is right there, and it's a very tight final corner. So for Solvent Sniffer, punching it as second place is on the apex, really, like here, would really work if he doesn't get a slide. Because then of course second place is going to have to be more tentative on the throttle, and it allows first to get a good jump. So that definitely works in Solomon Sniffer's favour. And of course for everyone behind, they're going to be stuck on a corner. So from a pole point of view, you want to punch it sort of as you leave the chicane. And that's probably what he'll do. It's not like any other track where it's got a long pit straight. Spa's pit straight is very short. The long notable straight is off the exit of Les Sources and all the way up towards Les Combes, which is separated by Rouge and Radion, of course. But as we go down the Camel Straight, this should be the final time we do it under this particular safety car. Not to say there won't be any more, there probably will be. Hopefully at a little bit more interesting times to not disrupt the flow of the action. And maybe at a time where it's a bit more spread out, and around about a pit window would be lovely to have a safety car. But when it's like this, it's just pausing the action and everyone's knocked out of rhythm. Slightly knocked out of rhythm. And what a race it was, indeed. Indeed it was. It was a spectacular race. Spectacular Grand Prix. George Russell managing to hold off Sir Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time champion of the world, in a Mercedes for 4.5 hours. That is definitely commendable. Made that car as wide as he possibly could through the pit lane. But should be safety car in this lap. Finally, we will see an end to the slightly dull spell. Hopefully we won't have a repeat of Baku a couple of races ago, or it was actually quite a while ago. I don't think it was this season, it was last season on the F1 2020 game. But race control have confirmed safety car in this lap, so Solomon Sniffer becomes the effective safety car, can back up the grid, can warm up his tyres until the safety car comes in. The Sir Lewis Hamilton, the one and only Sir Lewis Hamilton. He is a pretty damn good. But yeah, Solomon Sniffer, let's see if he does the tactic that I was talking about, that I was alluding to just a moment ago, about a lap ago, where he punches it very awkwardly through the final chicane. The safety car peels its way through. Is Solomon Sniffer going to punch it? No, he's still waiting. And now we go back green. Ben Finch reacted very well. He's all over the back of Solomon Sniffer as we go green once more. C1 on the back of Koru. Is he going to go for it in towards Les Sources? Looks, doesn't send, sort of half-heartedly goes for it, and that's where the contact is made. Pushes him wide slightly as Ben Finch all over the back of Solomon Sniffer as they go down towards Rouge and Radion, using his ERS to try and gain. He's going to have a long Camel Straight to slipstream, and he doesn't need to be doing that. That's a big step of oversteer. How is he he managed to hold on to that one. Koru and C1 are both managing to gain slightly, but C1's going to pull to the left of the Mercedes, who has absolutely nothing to say about that one and can't say anything to that one because he was always coming through LB to the left of the Haas, who's going to try and dance it all the way around the outside, the inside for the next part. He goes in slightly deep though, the Alfa Romeo with Daniel Stott right behind him as they go down towards Rivage. The Alfa Romeo on the left hand side as they go through nearly 3 abreast. He's squeezed all over the curb. The Haas sends it around the outside, contact with the Alpine as he's pushed him off on the off-camber nature of the track. As they go through No Name, Simon Sniffer leads from Ben, C1, Koru, JB, your top 5 with the Ferraris, 5 and 6. Very good result for them so far as they negotiate their way through Pool 1. Daniel goes very wide, opens the door for Bluefoot to get himself into the top 10. And has to kill the Crow looking. In the background, Jamie getting himself past his teammate. Could we see a bit of inter-team rivalry? But nonetheless, back to the front of the grid. This is Ben Finch on the back of Solvent Sniffer. Still, despite that massive save through, well, after the top of Radion, can he go for it in towards the bus stop chicane through Blanchimont, completely flat out, utilising that toe, utilising that slipstream all the way through. He's not using his ERS, he's waiting, he's biding his time, he wants to make it easy for himself and blitz past. No DRS of course until 3 laps after the safety car. This is T. Gregors on the outside of the Haas, has to go the long way around, sets up the double switcheroo, tries to go underneath him, gets an incredible drive, but unfortunately not good enough as the Alfa Romeo and has to go and side by side across the line. Kill the Crow, gets himself into the top 11. Fight for the race lead though, Ben Finch on the back of Solomon Sniffer. As I've said a lot of times, Ben Finch, another penalty to his name, another slide through Eau Rouge. This is really not going his way, but he can still put that pressure on track. Solomon Sniffer looking all in his mirrors in the AlphaTauri, defends to the right. He's peeling his way to the right hand side. The Williams having to go to the left. He's not going for it. He's not committed. He's going to let the AlphaTauri defend. But another safety car being brought into effect because T. Gregors has stopped at the top of Eau Rouge and Radion and has gone for a bit of a spin unfortunately, and has crashed out and has retired from this race as C1 has been given a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. And that is a big crash. Yeah, that is a monumental crash. He couldn't quite save it like Ben did. And under the safety car once more, couldn't even get 2 laps of clean racing in before you're already stopped. And hopefully this isn't the daily recurring theme for the remainder of the stream. And I hope that we can actually get some good action and actually have people finish this race because, yeah, fingers crossed, we can hope. We can hope indeed. So is this safety car going to trigger? Of course, we're a little bit later. Hards might go to the end. Mediums, maybe a very long stretch. Is Solvent coming in? He is. Is Ben going to follow him in? He is. Is he? No, it's only track limits penalty, so he can't serve any of them. C1 also comes in. He'll serve his 5-second penalty. Oh, in fact, no, it's not 5 seconds. It's a drive-through, which he can't serve under the safety car. Has to serve it under green flag running. As Daniel Stott, 5-second time penalty for severe collision with Kill the Crow. That's definitely not going his way today at all as they were coming into the pit lane. Yeah, as some would say, the safety car really is just stealing the show. They should whack a bunch of sponsors on that safety car. I mean, of course, they've got CrowdStrike and, of course, Formula 1. But imagine, like, at places like Spa, like, pay to have it on the safety car, let alone the actual cars. Because under the safety car conditions, the safety car gets a lot of airtime. So if you want anywhere to have sponsors, have them on the safety car. But yeah, that is a shame. Bluefoot though heads a Red Bull 1-2 because of course they pit under the first safety car, and they come out ahead of Solvent Sniffer and Ben Finch. Solvent on the hards, Ben on the mediums. This is going to be quite spicy off the restart then, which should be at the end of this lap. I do hope so, because I do quite fancy green flag racing. As entertaining as I'm sure everyone at home is finding this, I myself I'm going to be quite selfish and say that I do actually prefer real racing compared to single file around the 7-kilometre circuit that is Spa. But you know, hey ho, whatever floats your boat. You go through, yeah, you got to feel bad. I'm by myself, I've got no one to pass it to. But they go through Piff Paff, aka Campos, whatever it is. I'm all by myself, I've got no one to pass it to. I'm having to talk, waffle as best I can without mumbling or being repetitive or anything like that. You know, a 5-hour stint at Le Mans was easier to do than this because I have someone to have a conversation with. But hopefully, is safety car in this lap? I didn't quite see the message from race control. I hope it's in this lap. We're all here, we're all ready to go. Everyone's raring to go back to green flag. No one wants their tyres to be cold. No one wants their rhythm to be knocked. There's 13 people watching. We want some on-track action. We're only 7 laps into this Grand Prix, going on 8. Is Bird Mylander going to peel his way into the pit lane and let us go? No, he's not. We're going to stay out for another lap under the safety car. Unfortunately. So another 7 kilometres to go. Another 7 kilometres of filler. It's a Red Bull 1-2. The first 1-2, I believe, for quite a while, in fact. That is true. Apex Hunters United, the season finale, the 8 hours of Le Mans this Saturday. It's going to be a good one. Myself, Ewan O'Leary and Cameron Rogers. Unfortunately, Lewis can't join us, which is a shame. It's a big shame. But myself and Ewan worked very well together on the Nürburgring. 4 hours for the 5th round. And that definitely went very well. I did definitely enjoy the Nürburgring. And of course, Lesat is a track. It's not like Motegi. I said it right, Lewis. Motegi, where I didn't know it. I know Lesat, I know Nürburgring. So, and Dan Herlandover, our broadcast director, is going to be joining us as well. Dan is he's actually a really good commentator. As good of a broadcast director as he is, he's also equally good as commentator. So, yeah, work well with Dan as well. He's a very nice guy. So, anyone watching, if you didn't know, come and join us over on the Apex Hunters United channel this Saturday. If you want to have a season finale, a championship decider between the number 69 AHU car and the number 3, along with BD Esports. I believe are the championship contenders going into the final round. I'm not sure. Is it double points, Lewis? I'm not entirely sure. It might be because it's a longer distance, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. Should be safety car in this lap, though. Bob Mylander is going to peel his way in at the end of it. Bluefoot and Spiderina will lead us round. If Spa 2021 was the shortest race, what was the shortest race? Spa 2021. Safety car in this lap, though, being confirmed by race control. Finally, we'll get ourselves back on the green flag racing. On to lap 9. I think it's normal points. Well, there's still big gaps between each of the positions anyway, so should make it even more spicy. All of the tyrants, all the way. I meant before Spa. I don't know. Was it Malaysia that one year? But nonetheless, we go back green because Bluefoot is going to lead us round. They punch it, leading a Red Bull 1-2 onto lap 9 of 22. Nearly halfway through. Ben Finch on the back of Solomon Sniffer. He's got the softer compound tyres. Looks to the right hand side. What an audacious send in towards Les Source. Pushes the AlphaTauri out to the exit of the track. Solomon Sniffer gets the drive off the corner, but Ben's going to fight it. They're going to be side by side towards Eau Rouge, but the Williams backs out of it. He's going to have the slipstream. They're going to be slipstreaming the Red Bull just in front, who gets a little bit squirmy. Here comes Ben to the left of the AlphaTauri. Are they going to be 3 abreast? Indeed they are. Spiderina on the inside. Solomon Sniffer threading the needle through the middle. The Mercedes of Kourou as well, but here comes Ben Finch. Finch to the left-hand side, 2x2. Noah's Ark, they go in towards Lecom. He has to tuck in behind. Does Ben Finch. Going to go for the double switcheroo. In fact, going to try and go for the inside for the next right-hander. Koru all over the back of this fight as they go down towards Ravage. Is the Mercedes going to look to the inside? No. He backs out. Ben Finch, though, compromised behind Solmseth, who's looking very slow on those tires. We had a spin, I believe, of Lewis Keaton further back as well. Koru with an absolute wash of understeer. Oh, yeah, Adelaide as well. The one that Senna was asking to be waved off. But nonetheless, here they go. 3 pull 1 down in towards Piff Paff. To the right-hand side, can Ben send it? He looks, goes for it, but again, just can't quite get the brakes enough. C1 down the inside of Spiderina, who's just gone backwards off this restart. LB wants a bit as well. Ben Finch 1/10, practically pushing Solvent through Stavolo 1 and 2. Koru lurking in the background as well. He's on the same compound tyres and same pace as Ben Finch, all within the slipstream. Here comes Koru to the right, in towards Blanchimont. He's got to go the long way round. He tucks back in because a flat-out corner around the outside never usually works. Can Koru maybe into the final chicane? He's not quite going to be close enough. They all look under braking, but can't quite, unfortunately, get themselves up the inside, and they're just going to bide their time and wait for the long Kemmel straight that precedes them in just a couple of corners. A lot is going on. A lot of drivers into the pit lane. Ben Finch once again looking to go up the inside and towards their source. They make contact. Koru again can't pick a way through. There's no space, and they weren't compromised enough for it. But Ben is showing his nose. He's showing Solvent that he wants to find a way through Eau Rouge up to the top of Radion. No DRS, of course, for another lap or two. Ben Finch in the slipstream. He's closing at a rate of knots. So too is Koru. He's going to try and use the space. Solvent defends. Ben to the left-hand side. Koru follows him. He's going to be the outside for Lecom. He's going to try and go for underneath him. Set up the double switcheroo because Solmseth is on a compromised line. He's making that AlphaTauri as wide as possible. Bluefoot only 8/10 in front as they dip down once more in towards Ravage. Ben Finch again going deep, but having to tuck back in, get that good exit, that V-shaped line as they go through in towards No Name. Again, Ben Finch just can't find the gaps. The yellow flags do scare me. I've got PTSD. As soon as I see a yellow flag, I think it's a safety car. Luckily, for the most part, it's not. Koru very wide through Paul, and he definitely has a chance in this race if he can clear these guys. If he can clear Ben and get onto the back of Solvent Sniffer while his tyres are still fresh. But don't forget about that cloud cover. Ben Finch makes a mistake. Here comes Koru to the right-hand side and towards Stavolo. No! He thinks better of it, but the opportunity definitely was there. He was a little bit hesitant in getting that throttle down, and that could have been the difference. Oh, he gets squirmy off the exit of Stavolo 2 over the grass, nearly into the wall, keeps it out and stays in contention with the second and third places, provisional P1 and 2 of Solvent and Ben. LB as well being brought right into this fight. It could be a four-way fight for the provisional race lead as DRS does in fact get enabled at the end of this lap. Solvent Sniffer a little bit squirmy off the exit of the chicane. DRS enabled then the drag reduction system, that extra 20 kph down the Kemmel straight. And it's going to play into the factor of Ben because Solvent Sniffer is just outside of that 1 second range. He's trying to creep into it, use that ERS to close the gap. It's not enough. He needs to save it. He's used up so much in the defence. Ben surely going to blitz past. He's using his ERS. He's got the slipstream. He's got the DRS. He's going to be closing. The AlphaTauri defends, but is it all in vain because the Williams to the left-hand side? Is he going to be ahead before the corner? The AlphaTauri fighting it as hard as he can, but here comes Ben into P2, into the provisional race lead, and there he goes. As easy as you would have liked it. Solvent Sniffer not going to give it up easy, but has he got the pace to stay on the back for the next DRS zone? That is the question. Koru also will want to find a way through because now LB is here. It's going to be very, very tight. He needs to clear the slower car quicker and have that buffer between them. That's what Ben Finch now has over Koru, and that's what Koru wants over LB. He needs to be quick. He needs to be confident. He's using his ERS down towards Piff Paff. Is it going to be to the right-hand side? It is. He looks, doesn't quite send, has to tuck back into the left, but it was a send. And he's filling the mirrors of the AlphaTauri, trying to fill and make him make that mistake. Ben into the 1 second range of Bluefoot as well. He's closing and could even go for the move for the race lead. But don't forget, Ben has 6 second time penalty. Here comes Koru, gets a nice run off Stavolo 2. He's going to have to go the long way around to Blanchimont if he's not ahead before the corner. The AlphaTauri fighting it on the left-hand side. Is it going to be enough? No. He tucks back in, looks for the space to the inside, but again, can't quite. Here comes LB to the left-hand side in towards bus stop. They're going to be 3 cars very close together. The Alpine sends it. It's going to be the long way round. It's back up the inside for the second part. Claims the corner. The AlphaTauri goes off the track, keeps the position. They're going to be wheel to wheel down the pit straight, but the AlphaTauri just has to tuck in behind And at P4 as Bluefoot peels his way into the pit lane as well. Ben Finch inherits the race lead ahead of Koru, ahead of LB, ahead of Solomon Sniffer and Daniel Stott. Your top 5 yellow flags to the middle sector as the Haas of Lewis has gone round again. He's definitely not doing the Lewis name too well. At least one Lewis is definitely doing a lot better than the other. LB to the left hand side, blitzes past Koru. Wasn't much in the way of a defence from the Mercedes. 46.610 for Taylor Hammers. A new fastest lap and an extra point going his way as he is inside the top 10. Koru down to P3 then. LB and Ben though both with penalties. We're just past the halfway mark then of the Belgian Grand Prix. Solomon Sniffer should come back into this race towards the end. As soon as those medium tyres start to dip off slightly, he'll be right back on it. And try and mount that attack once more. He just needs to do his best to stay with him while he can. While he's slightly slower, if he can stay with him, stay in that DRS train, put that pressure on, and then as soon as those tyres start to go off, his tyres, the hard tyres don't really ever dip down. Of course, when they get into the regions of the 60-70% tyre wear. But from fresh to 40-50%, they feel relatively the same. Kill the Crow getting past the Ferrari of JB in towards pit path. And all the focus has been at the front, but nothing much has really happened. That's the Red Bull. Is that Spider Arena? No, it's his teammate, Bluefoot, going round off the exit of pit path. And luckily, I don't think any damage to the front wing of that Red Bull. Luckily, no. Spider Arena a 3-second time penalty as well. 1 second separate Ben Finch and LB, who's on an absolute mission. Sets the fastest lap, a 45.736, using his ERS, using his sheer determination to close that gap to under 1 second. You can see Ben does not want him in DRS. He's closing and using all of that ERS as best he can, and LB is risking everything in order to close that gap. It wasn't enough. He's within 1 second, but it wasn't at the detection point. He's using his ERS, he's closing, he's practically got an empty battery, has the Alpine. In towards Lake Com. Brakes at the 50, very nicely done. 6/10 down you saw without the aid of DRS. And a sufficient amount of ERS. Corey though, still there. He's tagging along on the back of LB. He knows LB is quick. Kill the Crow gets past on Daniel Stott down the Kemmel Straight. Daniel Stott absolutely sending it under brakes. But Corey knows LB is quick. Corey knows that if he stays with LB, he can get the move done and close back up onto Ben Finch, especially with the fact that he's kept it clean so far. The AlphaTauri of C1 has gone round to the top of Radion, which is a shame. Corey does not want to be fighting with LB. He's already lost 6/10. Jamie has retired from the session, and a VSC. Is it going to be a safety car? Yes, it is. I jinxed it. It's another safety car in this race with Jamie DNFing and the debris as well. C1 has retired. On track. That is a weird one. The safety car literally came out and he'd retired. So 3 retirements, 11 people left in this race, and another safety car. Yellow flags scaring us once more. And well, I'll never look at yellow flags the same again. Yellow flags definitely our enemy. It really is a fat F. 13 of 22 laps completed. A lot of people into the pit lane though. Solomon Sniffer going for the softs. Ben Finch inherits, stays out to take the race lead. Solvin in P5 on the softs. Corey as well. LB also. Kill the Crow and Ben could be in big trouble here because of the fact that they stayed out. Okay, we're under safety car, but it's a spicy safety car because it brings a new dynamic in the way of strategy to this fight. Corey and Solvin, their tyres are going to be slightly off towards the end. Ooh, that is an interesting question. Okay, if there was a classic track from any year, and whether it still exists or not, that you could bring back to F1, what would it be? I'm trying to think. let me think. I would say Kyalami. I think with a couple of tweaks with to sort of actually no, Kyalami's a great circuit. Leave it alone. Oh yeah, the old Hockenheim. You love a bit of the old Hockenheim, for sure. Hockenheim is a good shout. I would say Kyalami. I think to have a race in Africa, the South African Grand Prix, would make it more of a world championship, and I think it'd be quite interesting just to have Kyalami back on this on the calendar with the new era of Formula One for the new 2022 cars as well. I think that would be a good one. I like it in GTs. Kyalami's a great track in GTs, but in F1s it'd be interesting, and we'd have to see how the new era gets on. I think they need to think about getting Kyalami in for sure. Would love a South African Grand Prix. But yeah, lap 14 of 22 should be lap 15 on to 16 we get going again. With a lot of drivers now going for the softs, so those that stayed on the mediums. There was an old Kyalami, one moment. Old Kyalami versus new Kyalami. Oh. The old one looks quite cool, actually. I do quite like the new one, though. It's quite twisty and technical. I'd say new. I'd say new. I don't know. I haven't seen the old one in action. Like, I wouldn't know. I can only base it off the new one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint, but I can only take the new one. Yeah, he's disappointed. He's definitely disappointed. I've never seen the old one. Let me wait. I'll get an onboard lap. Let me get an onboard lap. I need to be quick. I think safety car will be in this lap. Let's have a look. Kyalami 83 on board with Alain Prost. Right. It's a long pit straight. It's very straight. The camera quality isn't the best, but we'll see. Should be in this lap in terms of the safety car. It gives us time to ride on board with Alain Prost for the. Oh, so the downhill left-right is pretty much the same. I quite like that corner. You go dip down and then back up. And then do you go into a hairpin, or is it just a long straight? No, you go right. That ends off the lap. Right, that is interesting. I don't know. I'm mixed. I don't know. I'm gonna stick to the new one. The perfect amount. Ooh, quickly then before the safety car comes in. I'd say. Because you have to balance it. You don't want the teams getting burnt out and missing out on family time and things like that. And of course, you don't want it too long and just have boring races like, you know, Sochi and cash tracks such as Saudi Arabia. I'd say 17, 18, 19, around that area. Because 23 is just excessive. I'd rather quality over quantity in terms of the amount of races per year on F1. But definitely next time we're under a safety car, do shoot the questions this way. It gives me something to talk about for sure. Anyone in chat. 18 for sure. LB leads us round then to go green once more. He's on the soft compound tyres because Ben Finch come into the pit lane under safety car. He's now down into P8, so LB and Corey lead the way. Solvensniff all over the rear end of him. Corey having to defend. Here goes the AlphaTauri to the outside. Is he going to dance his way? No, he's going to go for the switcheroo, try and get underneath him and try and get that power. He is ahead. The Mercedes is going to try and give him that fight all the way down towards Eau Rouge, but he is ahead. An incredible move from the AlphaTauri as they now head up towards the Kemmel Straight. LB leads 1.4 seconds, but with a penalty for the final 7 laps of this Grand Prix. Corey using everything in the battery, so too is Daniel Stott to try and close that gap. Bluefoot on the mediums is going to be slower. Here comes Taylor Hammers to the right hand side of the Ferrari in towards Les Combes. Can he send it? Yes he can. Under brakes, very nicely done. Takes the P6 position. Ben Finch trying to make up positions off his restart after coming in off the off the lead of the race, looking to the outside. Can he go for the long way round of an off-cambered corner? Surely not. Gets the drive in towards No Name, sticks his nose in, sends it up the inside. Go on, Ben. Locks the rears. The Ferrari might come back at him, though. Down towards P1. Taylor Hammers on the back of the Red Bull of Bluefoot on his soft compound tyres, and of course he's kept it clean. No penalty so far for the Mercedes towards Pit Path, and a big crash. That's killed the... No, that's not. That's Daniel Stott going round in the Alfa Romeo. And he might have collected someone else. He's got no damage as they all continue pretty much scot-free. Lewis Kitten on the back of JB down the inside and towards Stablo. Left the space, but not enough. Bouncing off the side of the Ferrari. And a big old bit of contact. Daniel Stott into the wall. Oh no, a huge crash. He's lost his front wing end plate, but back to the front. We have to ignore it because Kourou still on the back of Solvent Sniffer. Solvent has had so much pressure thrown at him this race. When he was on the hards and now when he's on the softs, Kourou is absolutely relentless, but LB is looking quick. 45-1 to set the fastest lap of this race. Yeah, Daniel not doing us very proud at all. In towards Les Sources. This is Ben Finch to the inside of the Red Bull. He gets it done and it stays in front. The Haas of Kill the Crow trying to also negotiate their way through the traffic, through Eau Rouge, up to the top of Radion, over the crest. No DRS until next lap, but he's using sheer engine power, slipstream and ERS. They're both slightly gaining on LB. We'll see if they set a purple sector, either of them. LB doesn't improve. Kourou, neither. Can't set purple sectors. And is losing touch a little bit to Solvent Sniffer as there's now sort of cloud break. A couple of tenths gained by Solvent on LB's lead. Let's Kill the Crow on the back of Bluefoot, who's just going backwards, surrounded by soft compound tyres, and they're not really going to drop off too much towards the end of this race as well. The Haas going to go all the way, the long way around of No Name, gets it done, bit of contact between the two, leaves the Red Bull vulnerable to Kill the Crow's teammate, who surely isn't going to go around the outside of P1. No, over the curb, over the grass, loses touch of the rear end, and well, that definitely would have been brave and bold to go for that one. Kourou through Pit Path. Luke. You could have made it. You could have made it. That's disappointing. Solvent Sniffer lost a little bit of time through the middle sector to LB, so it probably is just a fight between Kourou and Solvent for the provisional race lead, because remember, LB has got 3-second time penalty, so as long as they don't lose 3 seconds, they should be good. Oh, Kourou gone for a spin over the curb, and he spun round. He's going to be tumbling down the order of his teammate in Harris P3. DRS enabled. All he had to do was keep it clean for one corner, and he could have had a look. Taylor Hammers 45.024. He sets the fastest lap of this race. He's closely followed by Ben Finch, though, who's definitely got some pace in this race. Lewis Kirton and Bluefoot going side by side through Les Sources. Very feisty from the Haas to go the long way round. Wheel banging as they fight all the way down towards Eau Rouge. The Haas having to tuck in, though. Doesn't quite have the speed to complete the move. And the shortest race in F1 to the longest, for sure. As they go 3 abreast down the Kemmel Straight. The Haas on the inside of the Red Bull, and Kourou trying to make up a couple of places down in towards Les Combes. That was a very, very tight moment between the 6 of them. This is Kourou to the right hand side of Bluefoot, and it gets the move on the inside of Bluefoot in towards Ravage. Very nicely done. Ben Finch back to the front. The fight for the podium between Ben and Taylor, both of which, well, one of which has a penalty in towards Pit Path. So close, practically pushing him. Bit of contact to the rear diffuser of Taylor Hammers, who makes that Mercedes very wide and keeps the Williams at bay for the time being. But the Williams, one of the quickest men on track at the moment. Through Stavolo 1 and 2, gets a good run. Probably going to wait for the DRS. Taylor, though, could be susceptible to attack. 3 tenths is the gap. He's not even using ERS to close that gap, but it's just closing naturally because of the effect. That hole in the air that Taylor is punching, he's going to have to defend in towards the bus stop chicane. The Williams to the left-hand side. Doesn't fight it. He doesn't want to go for it. Has a little look around the outside, but he's waiting for that DRS. He wants the long Kemmel Straight. He wants it to be easy. He doesn't want to do it in style. He wants to do it easily. Get himself onto that podium and then take off and get away. Daniel Stott, 3-second time penalty. Only 4 laps left to go in this race. As Ben Finch is going to have the DRS. He's going to have the slipstream. He's going to use his ERS down the Camel Straight to get himself onto the podium provisionally, because his penalty will set him back 6 seconds. The Williams has. He's on a fight back, a charge back towards the front. He's closing. The Mercedes defends. The Williams reacts. He pulls to the left-hand side in towards Les Combes. Can he get it done? Yes, he can. Ahead before the corner. Late enough under brakes and stays ahead. LB, another 3-second time penalty, brings his total to 6. So now Solvensniffer making his win margin just that little bit more comfortable as Koru looks to get past the Haas. To the right, the Haas tries to squeeze him. Back down the inside goes Koru. He loves his move into Ravage, but the Haas tries it around the outside, but the off-cambered corner nature of Ravage just doesn't allow that to happen. You're always going to push on, and the Haas, with a bit of damage after touching the wall through No Name, is not going to be helping his affair in keeping that P6. Koru on a fight back. And when it comes down to penalties, as long as he can claw back a little bit of time, he could even see himself a couple of places higher, maybe into the top 4. Ben Finch, though, sets his sights on Solvensniffer in front, a man whose diffuser he definitely got a lovely look off for the entirety of the first and second stint, mostly. Literally just couldn't find a way through. Was kept at bay. Taylor Hammers, though, 3-second time penalty. That's not going to be helping him at all. As long as his teammate can keep it clean, then could be looking good. Maybe even for a top 3 if he closes a bit more time. Lap 20 of 22. 3 laps left to go as Taylor goes absolutely sideways off the exit of the chicane. As they go through La Source, he's closing on Solvensniffer, but he needs to get ahead and get 6 seconds on him in 2 laps. It's a tough ask closing. It's a tough ask getting past. It's then an even tougher ask getting out of DRS and then pulling 6 seconds, all in the space of around about 3 laps. That's going to be difficult. Daniel Stott, 10 seconds for exceeding track limits into the wall. A big crash, and I think he's writing off this race in its entirety. This is Koru closing on Lewis. He's going to go for round 2. Lewis is vulnerable. He's weaving around, trying to break the toe. Koru to the left-hand side, not quite going to be able to go for it, but he's going to set up this switcheroo and get a nice sequence of corners and go for it in towards Ravage once more. Taylor Hammer's gone for a bit of a spin. He's now inside of his teammate. He's made contact with the Haas and he's been sent round, and Koru once again now tumbling down the order, down to just P9 in this race, and what could have been a race victory very easily now turn into scraping points, and he's definitely not going to be happy with that whatsoever. Not Koru's day in the office whatsoever. Taylor Hammers without a front wing, going to lose that place to JB and to Bluefoot, who knits his way up the inside with only 2.5 laps left to go. And he has retired from the session off the exit of, I believe that is Piff Paff, indeed it is. Lap 20 of 22. Bluefoot on the back of Steve in towards the final chicane. The fight for 6th. And penalties going to play a massive factor. I'm not quite going to be focusing too much on that because there's so much of it. Taylor, 10-second penalty for corner cutting, as he obviously had to cut the second part of the chicane. He's still going on that broken wing. Why? I do not know, as the track has really started to spread out. Ben is trying to close on Solvin, but is he going to catch? Probably not. Is it going to be enough to catch and then pull 6 seconds? Again, probably not, as Taylor retires from the session going into Rouge and Radio, and we've lost the majority of the grid. 5 people out, and we're now down to just 9 drivers in this race. Yellow flags to sectors 1 and 2. As Ben Finch is into the wall, into the barrier, pushing way too hard, and he's lost his front wing. And even more yellow flags as Kill the Crow gets himself on to the podium in the Haas. Ben Finch with an incredible bottle, looked good for a win, stayed out under the safety car for those mediums, had to tumble back down to 8th, and now finds himself in P4 without a wing, and probably going to be losing even more positions with only a lap and a half left to go. So what could have been an incredible race now turns slightly more boring because of the lack of action in the later stages. Let's go for the last lap and a half. LB now joining to start his final lap. Bluefoot also retiring very far up the straight. We'll go on board with Spiderino. In fact, no, we won't, because he's so far back on his teammate. LB starts his final lap, though. We'll ride on board with the master at work. An incredible drive from him to pick his way through. Solomon Sniffer will, at the end of it, inherit the race win. We have to give credit to LB here. As Corey was definitely not happy with Lewis in the chat. Already a bit of spiciness going on as LB dances his way through in towards Rivage for the final time, and he's got around about 2.7 seconds left if he wants to win this race officially. Solomon Sniffer, the only man to keep it clean for the entirety of this race, and if he gets a penalty, he's just outside the winning range, so he's got to be careful not to get one. But other than that, he's got a clean buffer and probably will win this race in the AlphaTauri from, I believe, P2 on the grid. No, it was pole. Solomon Sniffer did get pole. My apologies. It was, I believe, it was T. Gregors that was P2. Matched his time, of course, in qualifying, didn't he? And here's LB through Blanchimont. He's driven absolutely perfectly, apart from the penalties here and there, but those things do happen, and unfortunately couldn't keep it on the track. But other than that, played strategy to a T. His overtakes were absolutely immaculate. He will win on track provided he can keep it clean. JB getting past Lewis Keaton on the final lap, but here's LB across the line, wins the Belgian Grand Prix on track, but with penalties it will be Solomon Sniffer to officially take the race win. Kill the Crow will cross the line with a podium to his name. The Haas driver kept it clean, didn't DNF, and a very respectable result. But can JB, will it be on penalties? 3 seconds, no it won't. He'll finish 2.1 seconds behind Kill the Crow, not quite enough to get himself on the podium. Here's Lewis Keaton across the line, P5. Ben Finch crawling home without a front wing in a P6, just about getting it stopped for the bus stop. And finally the sun breaks through the clouds as the man probably tipped to win across the line, only P6, and that's going to be disappointing. Again, Ben Finch, very promising pace, just not the consistency he would have wanted in towards the bus stop for the final time for Spiderina. And for Daniel, he's still got a while to go in this race. We'll go make a cup of tea while we wait. Here's Spiderina across the line to finish P7, and Daniel Stott retired from the session, and that is the Belgian Grand Prix round number 8 drawn to a close. And Bluefoot not happy with Ben Finch either. Yeah, it's all kicking off, so if you are in the Discord for RRL, definitely go take a look, because it's very, very interesting indeed. The AlphaTauri takes a deserved podium ahead of the Alpine and Haas, who finished 2nd and 3rd after 22 laps. With the Belgian Grand Prix for round number 8, it was Solomon Sniffer to take the win from pole, but that definitely did not tell the entire story. LB in P2 with Kill the Crow P3, JB in P4, Lewis Keaton P5, Ben Finch P6, Spiderina P7, Daniel Stott P8, Bluefoot P9 with Taylor Hammers rounding off the top 10, Corey P11, C1 P12, Jamie P13, T. Gregors rounding off the grid in P14. Well, thank you guys so much for sticking around. If you have enjoyed, definitely stick around for next week for round number 9. I certainly cannot wait, because the championship fight is definitely going to be spicing up quite a bit with Tiernan out of action for the next couple of rounds. I'll be Zach Sweeney. I will probably be joined alongside by Tiernan, but we never ever know. Until then guys, have a good evening, have a good night, have a good week, and I'll see you next time.